At the beginning of the story, a woman sees something terrifying. A strange and deadly virus has spread across the earth. Once infected, the human body slowly begins to harden, becoming completely solid like stone. People turn into marble according to their skin color, and when the entire body fully turns into stone, even that stone eventually shatters, leaving behind nothing but dust and soil. The story begins in an apartment where a group of teenagers are partying. Amid the fun, a man takes out a tattoo machine from a drawer and, while drunk, draws a strange symbol on the hand of a girl named Alpha. Due to the alcohol, Alpha feels the tattoo needle but does not react much. By evening, she returns home feeling tired. Her mother notices the smell of alcohol on her daughter and becomes very angry. She takes Alpha to the bathroom and starts bathing her with hot water. When she removes Alpha's coat, she sees the tattoo. Her mother starts screaming, asking where she had gone and why she got the tattoo. Alpha, shocked, says she doesn't know. Hearing this, her mother becomes even angrier, but behind that anger is fear. Alpha's mother works as a nurse, and she is truly afraid of the petrification virus. No one knows where this virus came from or how it spread, and the worst part is that it can remain dormant inside the body for a very long time without showing any symptoms. By the time people learned about it, the virus had already spread across the world, infecting nearly half of the population. Alpha's mother fears that a dirty needle may have been used for the tattoo. She quickly disinfects the area with alcohol and tells Alpha to come to the hospital the next day for a tetanus shot. That evening, Alpha hears her mother angrily muttering to herself and thinks she is talking about her. Upset, Alpha goes to her room. While looking at the building across from hers, she gets an idea. She puts on her shoes and coat, grabs her backpack, and prepares to run away. But as soon as she steps onto the balcony, a strong storm shakes the building. Despite the danger, Alpha goes outside. Hearing her daughter scream, her mother rushes out and sees Alpha barely hanging on. Suddenly, the building shakes again. The storm calms down, and the mother pulls Alpha back inside. Seeing her mother so distressed, Alpha hugs her tightly and keeps apologizing. This time, her mother doesn't scold her and simply tells her to be careful. The next morning, Alpha goes to the hospital where her mother worked. A nurse prepares the tetanus injection, but Alpha is afraid of injections. The nurse thinks Alpha doesn't trust her and decides to call her mother, but Alpha stops her and insists on injecting herself. To check whether the virus is in her daughter's body, Alpha's mother asks the nurse to take a sample. However, the hospital already has too many samples, making immediate testing impossible. The nurse says the results will come in 2 weeks. In the ICU, Alpha's mother checks on patients, but the corridors that were once crowded are now completely deserted. No one even came to serve dinner the previous night. It turns out that all the nurses resigned out of fear of the virus, which has no vaccine. The patients are in critical condition, especially those with over 85% infection, whose bodies are completely stiff and who cannot take care of themselves. Since the virus is not airborne, it is still somewhat under control. When Alpha's mother reaches the deepest ward, she sees a horrifying sight. A patient who was conscious yesterday has completely turned into stone today. Remaining calm, she removes the sensors from the patient's body and bids them a respectful farewell in their final moments. Because of her hospital duties, Alpha is late for her morning class. When homework is being collected, the teacher calls Alpha forward, but as Alpha turns around, the wound on her hand bursts open and blood drips onto the desk. The students are shocked and panic spreads. Alpha tries to explain that it is just a small injury, but fear of the virus is so intense that everyone assumes she is infected. To prevent panic, the teacher sends Alpha to the school doctor's room. Her classmates stare at her strangely, making Alpha deeply sad, but she has no choice. She packs her books and leaves the classroom. As soon as she steps outside, a boy named Adrian runs after her. Adrian and Alpha are in love. When Alpha returns home, she plans to rest, but notices an extra bed in her room. Confused, she goes to the living room and finds everything messy. She assumes a thief has broken in and calls her mother, but when she returns to her room, she sees a strange man lying there. Terrified, Alpha hides in the kitchen and locks the door as the man knocks from outside. She grabs a small knife and warns him not to come closer. The man calmly tells her not to be afraid and claims he is her uncle, her mother's younger brother, who carried her in his arms when she was little. Alpha doesn't remember having an uncle and questions why he never appeared in the last 10 years. The man, Amin, explains that he has poor health and moves around a lot and has just returned with nowhere to stay. Although his story sounds believable, Alpha does not trust him. As she tries to recall whether she truly has an uncle, Amin suddenly takes the knife from her hand. At that moment, Alpha's mother returns from work. Seeing her mother, Alpha runs for help. Her mother confirms that Amin is indeed her uncle. Later, Alpha goes to the hospital again for sample collection, but has to wait in the inquiry area due to overcrowding. While waiting, she sees her English teacher bringing in an infected elderly man. After the sample is collected, Alpha returns to school, but during sports class, her wound opens again, and blood stains the volleyball. Seeing this, her classmates look at her with disgust and fear. Even the teacher becomes afraid and tells Alpha to get treated immediately while throwing the blood-stained ball into the trash. Feeling isolated and rejected, Alpha leaves the gym. After school, Alpha and her mother visit her grandmother's house for Eid, where family and friends have gathered. On the way, Alpha notices two men sleeping in the hallway with needles scattered on the floor. Inside, everyone is busy, but Alpha sits silently. Amin became addicted to drugs at a young age, and the family treats him badly, barely speaking to him. During the meal, Alpha sees Amin enter a room, followed cautiously by her mother. Peeking through a gap, Alpha sees Amin unconscious on the floor, while her mother tries to treat him. When Alpha is noticed, her mother quickly shuts the door. Later, Alpha lies to her grandmother, saying her mother is resting, not wanting her to worry. At school, Alpha continues to be mistreated because no one knows how the virus spreads. During swimming class, some students block Alpha and tell her not to swim. Angry, Alpha spits on them sarcastically, claiming they are infected now. In retaliation, a girl pulls Alpha underwater, causing her to hit her head against the pool wall and bleed heavily. The sight of blood causes panic, and the students flee. Alpha's mother rushes to school, but the principal punishes Alpha instead, asking her to take leave until her report clears due to parental complaints. Back at the hospital, Alpha's mother examines her more closely. Initially, there are no signs, but suddenly Alpha begins coughing stone-like dust. Realizing her daughter is infected, the mother is devastated. She desperately searches for a cure, but scientists have been helpless for 10 years. Infected patients see hallucinations. While trying to comfort Alpha, the mother sees Amin and Alpha moving identically on the bed. Memories resurface of the first outbreak, when hospitals overflowed with dying patients and bodies were left in corridors. Amin was among the first infected, his back already turned to stone. When she tried to take his sample, his stone back cracked. Alpha later learns Amin died 8 years ago, and the illness is actually in her mother, not her. The visions of Amin are hallucinations. Understanding the truth, Alpha sings her mother the lullaby she once sang to her. Holding hands, they leave home to say goodbye. Outside, a yellow storm of dust fills the air, made of people who have turned to stone. In the end, Alpha accepts reality and decides to live whatever life remains with happiness. If you liked the video, please like it, subscribe to the channel, and see you in the next video.